The placement of Neptune in the second house of a natal chart is a profound study in the tension between the material world and the spiritual realm. In astrology, the second house governs our personal finances, material possessions, sense of self-worth, and what we value most deeply. Neptune, the planet of dreams, illusions, intuition, and transcendence, acts as a solvent when placed here, blurring the hard lines of bank statements and ownership. The dissolution of material boundaries. When Neptune occupies the second house, the individual's relationship with money is rarely straightforward. There is often a sense of easy come, easy go. Because Neptune represents the infinite, the native may struggle to perceive the finite nature of cash flow. This isn't necessarily a sign of poverty, rather, it indicates a lack of clear boundaries. Money may feel like energy that flows in and out, sometimes appearing through inexplicable strokes of luck and other times vanishing through oversight or idealism. The shadow side of this placement involves a vulnerability to deception or self-delusion in financial matters. These individuals might overlook the fine print in contracts or fall victim to get-rich-quick schemes because they prefer to see the potential rather than the reality. There is a psychological tendency to use rose-colored glasses when looking at the checkbook, leading to periods of financial fog where the person isn't quite sure where their resources have gone. The spiritualization of value. On a higher vibrational level, Neptune in the second house suggests that the individual cannot find true satisfaction through the mere accumulation of stuff. For them, the physical object must carry a deeper, symbolic, or aesthetic meaning. They may be drawn to collecting art, crystals, or items that evoke a sense of nostalgia or spiritual peace. Their self-worth is often untethered from their net worth. While many people feel good when their bank account is full, the Neptune in the second house native may feel more valuable when they are acting in alignment with their ideals. They often possess a deep-seated generosity, sometimes to a fault, giving away their resources to those they feel are more in need. For them, the act of giving is a way to connect with the divine, proving that the material world holds no permanent power over their soul. Talents and earning potential. This placement is frequently found in the charts of artists, musicians, healers, and those involved in the glamour industries, film, fashion, photography. Because Neptune rules the subconscious and the imagination, the second house becomes a portal through which these intangible qualities are monetized. The native may earn a living through healing arts, using intuition or psychic sensitivity to help others. Creative expression, turning dreams and visions into tangible art. Charity or social work, working for non-profits where the mission is more important than the margin. However, the challenge lies in the grounding of these talents. To succeed, the individual must learn to integrate the Saturnian qualities of discipline and structure into their Neptunian flow. Without a grounded approach, their immense creative potential may remain in the realm of someday rather than becoming a source of sustainable income. The lesson of non-attachment. Ultimately, Neptune in the second house is a karmic lesson in non-attachment. The universe invites these individuals to develop a faith-based economy. They are learning that their security does not come from a locked vault, but from their connection to the universal source. When the native embraces the positive traits of Neptune, intuition, compassion, and artistry, while remaining vigilant against the pitfalls of escapism and denial, they can achieve a unique form of prosperity. This is a prosperity that is not just measured in currency, but in the richness of the soul and the ability to find beauty in the simplest of things. They teach the rest of the world that while we live in a material reality, we are not defined by it. When Neptune resides in the second house, the zodiac sign on the house cusp, the sign ruling your second house, acts as the filter through which this ethereal energy passes. It dictates the specific flavor of your financial intuition and your personal struggles with material reality. Neptune in the second house through the signs. Aries, financial impulses are driven by sudden, idealistic whims. You might chase a dream career with warrior-like fervor, only to lose interest when the mundane reality of budgeting sets in. Taurus, this is a complex placement, as the planet of dissolution sits in the sign of physical stability. You may have a highly refined, almost psychic taste for luxury and art, but you struggle to keep your feet on the ground when managing tangible assets. Gemini, money is often made through invisible means like writing, ideas, or communication. The danger here is scattered finances. Money might slip through your fingers because you're mentally onto the next big idea before the first one pays off. Cancer, your self-worth is deeply tied to your emotional state. You may spend money to self-soothe or experience fluctuating finances that mirror your moods. You have a great instinct for what the public feels they need to buy. Leo, you view wealth as a stage for your creativity and generosity. You likely want to spend on grand, beautiful gestures, but you must be careful not to use money to buy a sense of identity or importance that should come from within. Virgo, this creates a paradox where you try to be meticulous with your budget, yet somehow the numbers never quite add up. You may find your greatest value in service work, but you often undervalue your labor and undercharge for your skills. Libra, financial partnerships are the focus. You may have a "what's mine is yours" attitude that can lead to being taken advantage of. You value beauty above all else and may spend heavily on aesthetics to maintain peace and harmony. Scorpio, there is a profound, almost occult intensity to your finances. You may experience total deaths and rebirths regarding your net worth. You have a nose for hidden value and other people's money, but secrets regarding debt can be a pitfall. Sagittarius, you are the ultimate financial optimist. You believe the universe will always provide, which often leads to gambling on big visions or travel. Your values are philosophical. You'd rather have an experience than a physical object. Capricorn, this is a sobering influence on Neptune. You try to build a structure around your dreams, making you the most likely to actually monetize your imagination. However, you may suffer from a vague, persistent fear that your security is an illusion. Aquarius, your income may come from unconventional, tech-heavy, or humanitarian sources. You value the collective more than personal ownership, which can lead to brilliant innovations or a total lack of concern for personal savings. Pisces, here, Neptune is in its home sign. The boundaries between my money and the world's money are nearly non-existent. You are highly intuitive with wealth, but you must guard against a total lack of financial realism. The transit of Neptune through the second house is a long-term psychological and material journey that typically lasts around 14 years. It represents a period where the universe dissolves your traditional structures of security to see what remains when the walls come down. It is often a confusing time, but one that ultimately aims to spiritualize your relationship with the physical world. The dissolving of the material anchor. The second house is where we build our fortress. It is the bank account, the physical body, and the collection of things that make us feel safe. When Neptune transits this area, it acts like a rising tide. Slowly and subtly, the clear boundaries you once had around your finances may begin to blur. During this transit, it is common to experience financial fog. You might find yourself asking, where did the money go, even if your income hasn't changed? Bills may be forgotten, contracts may be misinterpreted, or you might find yourself seduced by idealistic but impractical financial mirages. The goal of this Neptune transit is not to make you poor, but to challenge your attachment to stuff as a source of identity. If you define yourself solely by your net worth, Neptune will likely create situations that prove how flimsy that foundation is. The shift from net worth to self-worth. The most profound work of a Neptune transit happens internally. As your material world becomes more fluid, you are forced to look inward for a sense of stability. This transit often triggers a crisis of self-worth. You may feel invisible or undervalued in your professional life, or you might feel a sudden, overwhelming urge to quit a stable job to pursue a dream that has no clear financial roadmap. This is Neptune inviting you to find inner gold. The transit asks, if you lost everything you owned tomorrow, who would you be? By the end of this cycle, many people find that their values have completely shifted. They move away from the keeping up with the Joneses mentality and toward a life defined by peace, creativity, and service. You are being taught to trust that the universe will provide what you need, rather than what your ego wants. Practical challenges and higher potentials. On a practical level, this transit requires a designated driver for your finances. Because Neptune impairs judgment and encourages escapism, this is a dangerous time for high-stakes gambling or complex investments unless you have a grounded professional, a Saturn figure, checking your math. Deception is a risk, not just from others, but through self-deception. However, the magic of this transit is significant. Manifestation through intuition. You may find that when you stop obsessing over money and focus on your spiritual or creative flow, resources appear in unexpected, almost miraculous ways. Refining the senses, your appreciation for beauty, art, and the subtle energies of the world becomes heightened. You might find immense value in things others overlook, a sunset, a piece of music, or a simple act of kindness. Healing talents. This is an ideal time to monetize invisible skills. If you have ever wanted to work in the healing arts, counseling, or creative fields, Neptune in the second house provides the sensitivity needed to succeed, provided you stay organized. The final lesson, living with open hands. By the time Neptune leaves your second house, the fog lifts to reveal a new landscape. You will likely have a more porous relationship with the material world. You learn the art of living with open hands, allowing resources to flow through you rather than trying to hoard them. You realize that true security is not a number in a ledger, but a state of consciousness. You emerge not necessarily richer in currency, but infinitely wealthier in spirit, possessing a sense of value that the world can neither give nor take away. Subscribe, like, and share.